Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tim Meyer, here for the Romeo Sports Recap, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. And before we begin, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Romeo Sports Recap Show. I'm Tim Meyer, and I'm here today with girls varsity soccer coach Trevor Foster. And Trevor, thanks for coming on the show. And guys are off to a little bit of a rough start, but last year you guys were 14-4-5. And what was the formula for that success?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us. It's always a pleasure to be part of this show. Speaking towards last year, 14-4-5. We're only one loss away from that spot this year. If we want to have a better season, and the goal for every season is to continually get better. Talking about last year's record, we had a lot of players that were around for a long time. Learned to be part of a system, and we just found some success throughout the season. Some of it was small margins of victory, some of it was large, but it was a successful season overall.
Yeah, you had some good leadership on that team and strong goaltending, veteran goaltending, and I think that helped a little bit. But this year, you guys are only got one win and 3 losses and a tie, which was against Utica, which is a good tie. But you've also played some stiff competition.
And that's part of it. That's a conversation we've been having often with the players lately. Is we could do one of two things going into the season. We could schedule a lot of games up front that we have a really maybe good chance on paper of winning, and we could maybe beat these teams 5-0 right out of the gate for 4 or 5 games in a row. But it doesn't really battle test us, and it generally leads to a very rude awakening when you get into MAC Red League play, because it's just a different speed of play. Our kind of philosophy through most years is to, while we would love to find a balance, at the same time, we want to schedule teams up front that are going to battle test us. That might be a coin flip type victory game where we're going to learn a lot about ourselves early. We're going to test ourselves early. We're going to learn a lot about our roster early, a lot about resilience early. And from there, we'll be very ready for MAC Red and League play.
Is this team, you're into the season now, 5 games. Is this team close to finding itself, finding identity and comfortable with a style of play?
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I think last night we took huge steps towards finding ourselves. We were down 2 goals at one point last night against a very good Clarkson team. We dug our way out of that, and we ended up scoring 2. Then we were down again 3-2, and we ended up digging ourselves back to go 3-3. Unfortunately, we found an unlucky end of it and ended up losing that 4-3. But it showed a lot. Scoring 1 goal in soccer is difficult. And
just watch a World Cup.
Right. And anytime and that's one of the complaints about soccer, right, is not enough goals are scored. It's difficult. Despite how big the net is and how little the ball is, it seems to not be able to find its way in more times than not, which is mind-boggling at times. But to score 1 goal is hard. To score 2, sometimes it seems like an insurmountable task. And last night we did that, and we came back twice. And it taught us a lot about like who we are. One of the themes kind of going into this season is just being built different than everybody else, being resilient, being able to answer the call at any point in the game, being able to play in any conditions. And that's something that last night we took really major steps towards.
Well, this team is different than last year's team. What are some of the significant differences that you're seeing already this year?
There's quite a few major ones, right? And that's led to us, taking a couple extra games potentially along with a difficult schedule to find ourselves. We have a huge roster this year at 25, which is really the max that the state allows. And the reason we did that is because we had such a big class of players coming in. We were able to field our varsity team, bring in some young players who might not get a ton of time to start, but they'll be learning from the seniors and the juniors in front of them, and they're part of the future of Romeo soccer. We were able to then fill a JV team and then fill a freshman team. So our numbers, our numbers were amazing. So roster size is a big difference, but we also had a big turnover. We have players that have either come in later in their Romeo soccer career who haven't played their freshman and their sophomore years and are coming in as juniors or seniors. And then we have a lot of new young players that we brought in too.
And it must be tough to keep 25 players happy.
It is. And that's part of kind of going back to our theme of the season about being built different, is that we had conversations up front with everyone and kind of let them know their role. And of course, we're always fluid in the sense that players can chip away at time and make the best of their opportunities. And when they do that, the roster becomes a little bit more flexible. And I don't think anyone would complain if we had 25 players that could come in and just give us more depth than we would know what to do with. So
well, it's got to make practice fun.
It is. And it can be challenging at times.
And productive, really. I mean, two teams and they're out there playing each other, and you get to see you get to watch a lot of players.
You get to watch a lot of players. Sometimes, that there's pros and cons to that too. We just have to make sure our training sessions are moving and not too much standing around. But at the same time, we could scrimmage two full teams against each other at any time we wanted and really kind of get an idea of things.
And you got all these players. Now you got, you finished your first 5 games. And now you have 6 straight home games.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in. Is it easier for you at home? Do you like playing at home better?
You'd love to say, you can play anywhere, right, equally, but everybody knows there is a home field advantage. No matter what sport, age, anywhere you're talking about it, you are a bit more comfortable at home. We're able to do things at home pre-game that we can't do at away games. Oftentimes there's no locker room for us to go in and get kind of hyped up before the game. We can just do a couple more things that I think make us a little bit more comfortable. And of course, it's easier to get a home crowd too when you're close to home.
Yeah, that is true. Sometimes cheering, you can hear them in the stands if there's enough of them and they're cheering loud enough. And for you, kind of like the Red Wings
Exactly.
The other night. Hey, some of the players that you have, different than last year. You have some pretty good players out there though that returned. Ken, tell us a little bit about some of the players that you have that are kind of special.
Well, we have 3 captains to kick things off. 3 senior captains that have been through the program since their freshman year, and they've been leaders since then. They're stepping in and they're great captains. They're vocal, and they're great players. They're all 3 going on to play college soccer at various levels. And
now, did they still? I noticed last year that the girls would push each other.
Mm-hmm.
And support, but push each other. Do they still have that same type of DNA, I guess?
Yeah, they do. And that's something, again, that we spoke often of very early in the season, is you have to be able to take constructive criticism from your peers. Oftentimes, kids this age have difficulty doing that. If somebody criticizes you, often people default to they hate me. And we kind of tried to address that early, and no, your teammates don't hate you. They're helping you. And sometimes that comes off with a sharpness in the middle of a game. And just like I tell the players too, I'm never yelling at you. I'm yelling in your direction so you can hear me. Right. And I say that's the same with their teammates, is we're never yelling at each other. We're speaking loudly and sharply so the message gets through. But everyone just wants success from everybody else.
Has your coaching style changed to fit this team?
And that's part of this early season growth is you come into the season expecting to play a certain way, certain ideas in your head as a coach on how you want to see things play out. And sometimes they don't always go that way. And we have to be able to adjust to, whether that means just adjusting the overall style of play, whether it means adjusting tactics or personnel. We've had conversations come up in all three of those areas. One of my main things is just being able to adapt myself and not stick to one way of thinking, taking ideas from players and leaving the table open for players to bring ideas to the table as well. These three captains and some of the seniors have done a great job of that. And because they see things differently than us being on the field versus the sideline. We see as much as we can, but sometimes being out there adds a totally new perspective to it. So we welcome all ideas, and then we try to put it together.
They have a vision different than yours, actually.
Exactly.
Right. So do they come to you and tell you stuff that hey, look, I think I can beat this person, and you can just lob it in there, or I'm open most of the time. Nobody's really getting close to marking me.
Yeah, oftentimes it's like a chess match, right? The other team is in a certain shape and we come out in a shape. And sometimes you have to answer to the shape they have and adjust to the shape that their players are in. Whether it's 3 across their back line or 4 players, that's going to change the things that we do. Whether it's 4 players in the midfield, 3 or 5, that's going to change the things that we do a little bit too. And one thing that, one theme that we've come up with through these first 4 games is we just had to, we had to be built different. We have to go back to a gritty style of soccer because we're going up every game. The talent is going to be even. You can't just come out and win for free, right? There's a price to pay for every victory. And right now the cost of that is going to be a high work rate, grit and toughness. Eisenhower is just a perennial powerhouse year over year for the past who knows how many years. They probably have, 13 MAC Red championships in the past 15 or 16 years. So that's always going to be, we're always going to be up against it with them no matter what. Last year we lost to them once and drew them a second time. That draw ended up putting us in second place in the MAC Red. So we're always, kind of chasing after them and kind of trying to keep the motivation up there. But Anchor Bay is always very tough as well. Dakota, always very tough. It's really, at the end of the day in the MAC Red, it's anyone's game. It's just really going to come down to who comes out and who has more grit, who's tougher, and who's willing to work harder for it.
You told us that you filled varsity with a lot of players, junior varsity, freshman teams. I would imagine that Romeo soccer, at least from the girls' side, is pretty bright. What do you say?
It is. My first season was 2016, and we've had our ups and some. We usually take 2 or 3 steps forward, and then once in a while you take a little step back, and then you build from there. You learn a little bit, and then you build a little bit more. We've continually done that for the past 8 or 9 years, but every year we've like to believe that we've gotten more and more players and more quality players, and the area is growing, and it just seems natural that leads to better and better soccer.
Well, Trevor, we wish you luck. You have 6 straight home games coming up. They are tough opponents, though, yep. And hopefully the Lady Bulldogs can pile up some wins here, and we can start headed towards those playoffs.
Mark it down. It's going to happen.
All right.
It's going to happen. Come out, support the girls. They love it, and it really makes the game exciting when there's a good crowd there. So
absolutely, and we'll be out there to see you.
Cool.
Well, we'll be back with some of the Romeo girls varsity soccer players right after this.
Before we continue, here on the Romeo Sports Recap Show, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the mitttv of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the mitttv. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the mitttv of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com.
I'm here with Addison Aris, Annalise Frank and Ava Kelly. And these are members of the girls' varsity soccer teams. And ladies, I would love if you would tell us what positions you play and what if you're a senior or not. So go ahead, Addison.
My name is Addison. I play center back for the Romeo girls soccer team, and I'm a senior.
I'm Annalise Frank, and I play center back, and I'm a senior as well.
I'm Ava Kelly, and I play holding mid, and I'm a senior as well.
So you guys had a pretty good team last year, and we're on a pretty good team last year. How's it been so far this year?
It's been good. I just feel like it's a lot of new players, so we're all getting to know each other better. Everyone has a different playing style, so we're starting to all work together and grow more as we play more games.
Yeah, it's definitely a younger team. I think we lost 8 seniors, and there's, I think, 13 sophomores and 2 freshmen. So definitely on the younger side, which is always difficult. Like, we've never played with these girls before. So we're kind of just figuring each other out, and we're getting comfortable. And a huge thing for me is team bonding. And we kind of just started that with the team dinners last week. And I felt like that put us in a completely different position in our Bloomfield game. And we played so much better against Bloomfield rather than Ann Arbor, Huron, or
It's a pretty good
Utica.
school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we only lost them 1-0, which was a step up from what our past scores had been. So
How about you, Annalise?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that team chemistry is like really important, and that's just something that we're working on right now. Kind of just building it and getting to know everybody, getting to know everybody's playing styles, just connecting and everything.
I mean, Coach and I discussed, you guys had some tough opponents. I mean, some good teams. What do you think you learned from that, Annalise?
I think we learn every game, whether it's a good opponent or a bad opponent. I mean, in the league, there is no really any bad opponents, but just every game we're learning, and whether that's like learning how someone plays or learning about like how they act and like how they everything. Just we kind of just learn as we go.
And you
shape.
learn about yourself then too, as well.
Yeah.
You learn about your game. I mean, that's what I mean. What have you learned about your game?
about my game, oh,
Yes.
I was definitely on the struggle bus for the first few. I just think it was an uncomfortable new environment, and but now I feel like I'm finally figuring myself out, which when I get comfortable with myself and confident in myself, that reflects on my teammates, and I can be there and support my teammates more when I have more confidence in myself. So I think that's been beneficial. And speaking about our last game, I think we definitely learned that we can come back from being down on the field.
Against Clarkston, you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is another good side. They got a lot of people in that school, so
Yeah.
I'm sure they've got some talent somewhere.
Yeah, they do.
And they're pretty tough and fast. And Ava, you've learned some things in these first few games about your game, even though you played last year.
Yes, I have. It's definitely like you just have to get used to like everyone's different playing styles and like coming from club to high school, like different playing styles, different coaches, like different girls. And we've definitely been like working together more and meshing more, and I think it's really helped.
Do you guys still have? I remember coming out to one of your games, a couple of your games last year, and watching from the sidelines. I have never seen so much mean faces in all my life. Do you still have those mean game faces on?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're ready every game.
Yeah, it's just
And-
kind of locking in.
I got kind of scared, you know. I was like, I hope I don't get caught going out there and kicking the ball or something and getting kicked at me. So I think you guys would tear it up. Is there some times where you guys, I don't want to say punch anybody, but but I noticed that Romeo soccer seems to play a physical soccer. So I mean, is there some techniques that you work on when you're battling for a ball that where you use yourself to get leverage and push somebody out of the way without getting caught?
You just have to be physical, like you just have to be able to ready to push them and do everything you can to get the ball.
Yeah, throwing a little jersey grab sometimes.
Yeah, just sneak it in.
And the other thing I noticed is that not a lot of trash talking. You guys
Yeah.
just get even instead of trash talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of let our game talk, I guess. We don't really talk about our opponents. Like, we kind of just go out there and give everything that we have, and usually that's what pulls us through.
Well, you got 6 straight home games. I'll ask you the same question I asked Coach. Home games are supposed to be an advantage for you. Do you think they're going to be an advantage for this team?
Yeah.
I do for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. Home games are a completely different routine, completely different prep for the game. Like, you have time for yourself after school. I think it's important to have time to yourself before getting with your team, and you just have that at home. Like, it's just a completely different game, completely different environment. And you're at home, you have your crowd, you're at your school.
So Annalise, so you have to go on the road and play an away game. I mean, what is that routine like?
It's kind of rushing after school because you get home and you grab all your stuff, you change, and then we head to the bus. And I like the bus sometimes though because we get to bond and everyone's laughing and there's kind of that. And then like we get there and we're like, waiting while JV's playing and we'll like take a team nap almost.
Oh, you got to be fresh out.
Yes. And then like the music starts playing and we kind of get in the zone and everyone starts like getting together and then we start warm-ups and it's kind of just like I love the environment that there is. So even though we're not home, we still like make it so that it feels like we're at home.
Is there any team, Ava, that you in the MAC Red that you like to play?
I feel like it's Ike because it's always just like a big rival. Like we're always like
No need to
coming
have
at
to
each
work
other.
yourself up for that one. You're already worked up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
we
for
go
sure.
into it like out for blood.
Like even last year, like that was the only team we had to beat for like the MAC Red championship. Like it's always so close when we play them. Like everyone gives it their all.
Is it a physical game?
Yes.
Like,
Yes,
more than
for
anything?
sure.
Yes.
Ooh, I'll have to come out there and see that. But I'm going to stand up. I'll be up in the stands where it's safe. You know, I'm not going to go up there. How do you compare this team from the beginning of the season? I know he played 5 games, but now you're going into, you're going to hit into the meat of the whole schedule. How do you compare this team from the beginning, game 1, to moving forward now?
I feel like we just like know each other more because it's like there's the 9th grade academy at Romeo, so it's like some of those sophomores we weren't in school with them last year, so we didn't really like know them that well. And so like practices all the time, the team bonding, these games, like we've all got to hang out and be closer, like teammates and friends on and off the field.
I definitely feel like we just gained trust. We learn how each other plays on the field. We know like who's fast, who to play, like what pace of the ball. Like you just understand people's style of play. You just get to know them, I guess, and I feel like that's been really
You have a
beneficial.
familiarity with their game.
Yes, and we didn't play easy teams to start like our first 5 games, so I feel like that competition is definitely prepping us for the MAC Red.
And Annalise, is there a lot of fights in practice?
No, not really at all. I think that's one of the best things about Romeo is that there's really no drama on the team. Everybody gets along. We're all like sisters out there.
Well, that's good to know. I had no bloodshed in practice.
Yeah.
That's a start. So I'm going to ask you, Eris, what does Eris like to do when Eris isn't playing soccer? What else do you do?
I am on the Romeo golf team. Well, I was on the Romeo golf team in the fall, so I do like to golf in my free time. I honestly don't have that much free time. I feel like I'm always training, so I kind of just enjoy
No time
it.
for boyfriends or anything. Right?
Oh, no, I have a boyfriend, but I kind of just enjoy my downtime. I spend time with my family. Me and my family are super close, so I'm always with them.
Does he know that? That you enjoy your downtime? Well, that's important. And what about you, Ava? What does Ava like to do when she's not playing soccer?
I will, especially in the summer when it's warmer, I like being outside and I like working out and practicing extra too. There really isn't that much time. And I'm with family and just trying to make the most of the time I do have.
And you're not going to tell me who your boyfriend is. Or...
I have one too.
Yeah. Does he know that? I mean, isn't he get mad at you for not spending more time with him when you're out there practicing all the time?
No.
Soccer over boyfriend.
Yeah.
Well, at least that leaves you.
Kind of the same as her. I mean, I love being outdoors. I love fishing in the summer, working out, just extra training, just everything.
What do you like to fish for?
My favorite
Boys.
fish.
Sorry.
My favorite fish to fish for is probably largemouth bass.
Yeah, that seems to be pretty popular fish around here.
Yeah, it is.
We grew up in this area, in the Shelby area, with a lot of man-made lakes, and all you would get would be like bluegill.
Yeah.
And it's okay, but you can't, they're never big enough, and you can't eat them.
Well, you can eat them. Bluegills are good eating.
I don't know. They seem to be tough to fillet.
They're hard to fillet, but I think it takes a lot of technique. I mean, it took a lot of technique for me to figure out. Like, I was super annoyed in the beginning when learning, but once you get the hang of it, it's nice.
Well, maybe we'll have to go fishing.
Yeah.
It's been a while. I wish you guys luck the rest of the season. I think you've got a pretty good idea what you want to accomplish out here, and I'm looking forward to coming out and seeing some of your games.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with the Romeo Sports recap right after this.
Before we continue, here on the Romeo Sports Recap Show, a word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com.
Welcome back to the Romeo Sports Recap Show. Just want to give you some quick updates on how the other spring sport teams are doing in Romeo. The boys' varsity baseball team is 4-3 this year so far. They've had a tough schedule, and they have a tough schedule ahead, facing Utica, Eisenhower, Rochester, Adams, Stevenson, just to name a few. Kind of a young team with only 6 seniors, but they're plugging away. Hopefully they will find their groove and have a successful season. The girls' varsity softball team, who's on the show here, is 4-0. They just came off a big win over Eisenhower. The Lady Bulldogs have scored 36 runs. Their opponents have scored only 8, and that's in 4 games. So they're doing really well. Romeo varsity track, some of the leaders for the boys are Darian Foster and Vincent Garismo. The girls are led by Annie Rabowski and Sam Sackfield. And hopefully we'll have some of the coaches on later in the springtime, and they can talk about the track team. Romeo tennis, same deal. They've played several matches. Their season ends on May 18th, so hopefully we can have Coach Matt Burr up in here, and he can tell us a little bit more on some of the players on the tennis team. And finally, Romeo lacrosse. Romeo lacrosse is 3-3 on the year, and we're going to have Romeo lacrosse players in here. Coach Jack Smith will be in here, and we will have some highlights for Romeo lacrosse. So hopefully you can catch us right here on the Romeo Sports Recap Show. Thank you for joining us. Good night, everyone.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to this episode of the Romeo Sports Recap Show, powered by the Mitt TV. Remember, this show is available on both YouTube and Spotify. You can subscribe to the Mitt TV YouTube page and click the notification bell to stay up to date on the latest episodes of the Romeo Sports Recap. Or you can find us on Spotify and follow our podcast, Romeo Sports Recap. From the Mitt TV, I'm Tim Meyer, signing off with a final word from our sponsors. This podcast is powered by the Mitt TV of Romeo, Michigan. If you're looking to start a podcast for your business or personal use, look no further than the Mitt TV. They can get you access to equipment, a production engineer, and even edit your podcast. That's all right here at the Mitt TV of Romeo. And you can contact them right now via email at mitt.tvromeo@gmail.com.